July 15th, Republic Act 10644, an act promoting job generation and inclusive growth, or the Go Negosyo Act, was signed into law by President Aquino. The law aims to promote the growth of micro, small, and medium enterprises in the country.
The Go Negosyo Act that was recently signed into law is a very important act that will help the micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs in the country. It will also promote, the leveling up of these micro SMEs, because that in the end is what we really want to have in our country, we in the advocacy of Go Negosyo.
Under the law, Go Negosyo centers will be established in all provinces, cities, and municipalities under the Department of Trade and Industry, with the support of the local government and government agencies. This law was authored by Senator Bam Aquino. However, the movement was envisioned and advocated by Joey Concepcion in 2005 as a way of motivating positive and enterprising attitude among Filipinos.
So anong objective ng mga negosyo centers? Essentially, the services that it will provide, it is supposed to ease the process of application in business permits, all these registration requirements. It is also tasked to provide training, mentorship. There will be market information, what would be the industry products that will be in demand. There is also the access to financing.
9 years later, Go Negosyo, as an organization, has continued to help Filipinos set up their own businesses. Now, as a law, the Go Negosyo Act will make it easier and faster for entrepreneurs to start and register their businesses, as well as avail of other services and training programs from government offices. For interested would-be entrepreneurs, what is the Go Negosyo Act? How can they start their own businesses with the help of Go Negosyo? And what are the requirements needed for their new venture?
Good evening. You are watching Legal Help Desk on 9TV. This show is about making the law work for you by giving legal advice on topics that matter to you. I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno.
And I'm Attorney Rod Nepomuceno. Tonight, we will discuss your legal rights on how to start a micro, small, and/or medium enterprise, particularly according to the Go Negosyo Act. What you need to know about this recently signed law and what you need to do to start your own business.
Our guests for tonight are Ramon Lopez, Executive Director of the Philippine Center for Entrepreneurship, and Dora Hizon, National Chairperson of CAENTREP. Good evening and thank you for being with us, po.
Good evening, Juan.
Good evening,
Dora. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a holiday.
Yes.
We know it's a holiday.
Pleasure.
So. Yeah. And no, this thing is close to my heart because while I'm a lawyer, and I think Karen as well, no, it's also close to her heart. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm also a small businessman, and so I think for a lot of televiewers out there, they'll be quite interested to know about this Go Negosyo Act. So I guess we'll start off with that question. Can you briefly tell us what the Go Negosyo Act is all about? Perhaps one?
Yeah, sige. The Go Negosyo Act is an effort really to have inclusive growth. Ang objectives niya, inclusive growth and economic development. To us kasi, I guess, first of all, it's an act. The bill was initiated by Senator Bam Aquino, who's very much an advocate also of Go Negosyo. He's also a social entrepreneur and has been in the advocacy of helping especially the micro entrepreneurs. And I guess he believes so much also in the advocacy that we have in Go Negosyo, which we've been at for the past 9 years already. And the act basically serves to provide also the same kind of support and services to all aspiring and start-up, micro, as well as the small and medium entrepreneurs around the country. So what it does is it basically provides what Go Negosyo provides ever since, but this time with the structure, with the budget,
now
with the infrastructure, and it's a law that will really be implemented by the Department of Trade and Industry nationwide. One thing that Senator Bam was making it clear is that there will be no funds going to Go Negosyo, our advocacy, because we're an NGO. So he was always kidding about that, na walang perang pupunta sa Philippine Center for Entrepreneurship. But we are here still to provide, we're as the private sector, doing this parang CSR on advocacy to really promote a culture of entrepreneurship, and also the competency, developing competency on entrepreneurship as the real solution to poverty, alleviation, and at the same time, the kind of growth that we want to have in the country, which is inclusive. Ibig sabihin, while the economy is growing, we want as many as possible to be benefiting from that growth, to be part of that growth, and not just on the sideline, and that not only the big companies really benefiting from the growth. So the idea is to have the more micro be empowered to level up their business, not stay micro for the longest period of time. We want the micro to move up to become small, and then medium, and then large. Kasi may iba-ibang definition ng yung mga yan, eh, no?
Yes,
As also defined in the previous Magna Carta for SMEs. And siguro in brief, the definition is something like the asset size, excluding land, 3 million and below would be the micro, 3 to 15 million pesos would be the small, 15 million pesos to 100 million pesos would be the large, medium, and then above 100 million pesos would be the large.
But Dora or Mon,
Yep.
do you think that, of course, advocating for inclusive growth, we're talking about micro, small, and medium enterprises, would encourage the growth of these types of businesses. But then, do you think it also would be a stable option compared to big businesses? Because big businesses, we know that they're tried and tested, they have a lot of capital base, so they can lead to a lot of employment as well. Whereas when you're talking about micro to medium enterprises, of course, they're starting up, they're hiring, but they can't offer really big wages, or maybe you don't know how stable they will be or for how long. So what types of support does this law provide to ensure that it will really guarantee inclusive growth and generate more jobs or employment, as you've said earlier?
For the micro entrepreneurs, they really would need a lot of support, no, because these are micro entrepreneurs. They are 3 million below. And as per our figure in the year 2012, they are about 944. I mean, there are about 844,000 micro entrepreneurs.
Wow. Out of how many enterprises?
Out of 940,000.
So that would comprise
That's
a
less
big
than
chunk.
1%. That's
Yes.
still less than 1% of our population.
Actually, the statistics says that 99.6% would be the micro SME.
So the 0.4
So 0.4 lang
are the
ang
bigger
large.
ones.
Tapos yung 99.6% would account for 70% of employment. So this answers your question. Why will it become inclusive? So because if it is the micro SMEs that would really be developed, they employ a lot more. They are more labor intensive, less capital intensive based on statistics. Kasi imagine, the 99.6% accounting for 70% of employment. However, if you push forward that statistics, they account only for 32% of the gross value added. Ito yung economic value added of the micro SMEs. In other words, parang konti lang yung that they add to the economy. What does it mean? If you're talking kasi of micro, small activities that are basically trading, walang value added, di ba? When they buy a product, they sell it, it's trading. Walang value added. But if you make one product out of something, you add more value, you become creative, you sell in different form, you make those raw materials as inputs to something that is bigger, of more value, the difference in the price would be the value added. So you consolidate all this value added. Yan yung value added that we're talking of. So what the Act hopefully would like to achieve, and groups like ours, nila Rodora, are working on, is really empowering micro to develop the value added aspect. For them to level up, to be, as we say, hindi lang entrepreneur, to be smarter entrepreneurs. Value add on something, be more creative. So you try to create an environment that will encourage innovation, creativity,
So
add value to something.
Just like, for example, it's as simple as fries, for example, and then you
Rather than
dagdagan mo ng flavoring, and packaging, and all that.
rather than sell the potato and sell it as a potato,
Yeah,
you make it into a French fries, and then you add flavors, and yun umpisahan ng mga kaibigan natin, na sa mga French fries. So that's just an example. And so because it is in the value adding where they make more money. So kasi if you become less value added, maliit ang tubo, maliit ang profit. Pagod na pagod ka, tapos ang liit lang ng tubo mo
Kasi
at the end of the day.
parang middleman ka lang.
But when
Middleman
you're
ka
talking
lang.
about adding value, syempre, that's coming from ideas and then
Yes.
training.
Exactly.
So, I think I'll link that with what I read from the law na yung Go Negosyo Centers.
Yes.
So, what's this all about? What are Go Negosyo Centers?
So the Act covers establishing negosyo centers around the country, and that these
and this is government-led?
government will be the key implementer. Ibig sabihin din nun, when they establish negosyo centers, and siguro the default negosyo centers at the regional and provincial would be the DTI offices. Kasi may mga DTI offices na dyan. They'll probably just designate a venue or a new location, or it could be the existing location, that will be the negosyo
of the DTI
centers.
office, you mean?
But the negosyo centers, as defined in the law, will contain and provide other services that will be provided to anyone who will approach them, aspiring or existing micro, small, and medium enterprises. So, ano yung services? They will help in ease of doing business. In other words, in terms of getting permits, business permits, registration. They will attempt to be a one-stop shop, in terms of getting registrations and permits. Number two, there will be assistance in access to finance. They'll tell you, dito, lapit kasi itong mga micro institutions, financing institutions in our area. Access to market. There should be an information database that will contain possible demands in the area, or demand for certain products. And then, of course, the training and mentorship, which is what Go Negosyo naman has been providing. This time, it will be institutionalized in all the negosyo centers. Now, since Go Negosyo is an advocacy, we won't be physically present in all this. So, we are encouraging the negosyo centers and in working with the DTI to link up with the likes of Go Negosyo or local business chambers in the respective areas to be the mentors, yung mga lalapitan nila.
Sige, later we'll ask you how to specifically approach Go Negosyo Centers and how they'll implement the functions that they have. But for now, we'll have to take a short break. Legal Help Desk will return, so stay tuned. You're still watching Legal Help Desk on 9TV with our guests, Ramon Lopez and Dora Hizon. So earlier we were discussing, before the break, about those Go Negosyo Centers. And Mon was explaining these are the centers that you can approach to ask for help if you want to start a business. Now, what if you have an idea for a business? Pero usually when you have an idea, feeling mo bright idea, but you don't even know how to go about it. Or meron ka na idea, but you don't have any capital. Dora, is this something sufficient to bring to a Go Negosyo Center and say, I want to start a business and this is my idea?
Well, for the micro entrepreneurs, that is always the case. No, they have a business idea, but they do not know how to go into it. So one of the things that they would say, they lack capital. But actually, what they lack are the skills. The skills in starting the business. And the plan as well, the business plans. That is why in our organization, the Ka-Entrep Micro and Small Entrepreneurs Organization of the Philippines, that is one thing that we are providing. And I think the negosyo centers can also provide this kind of trainings like the business planning, which includes mentoring already while you are still planning the business. No?
No, is it possible though? I mean, there are situations wherein I just want to have my own business, but maybe di ko alam what to get into. Talagang wala akong idea. Gusto ko lang as you're saying, I want to be included in the economy. I want to do something, but I have no idea.
Or you don't want to be an employee.
I
You
don't
want to
want
be
to
a
be an
business
employee.
owner.
Or I don't want to be unemployed.
Yes.
But, I just want to put up a business, but can you guide me along? Like, can I go to a negosyo center and they will guide me along on, parang to determine what my skill set are or anong interest ko? Ganun ba yan? Is that how it goes?
Yep. In our case naman sa Go Negosyo, the past years, that's what we've been helping our kababayans with. You want to go into get into business? How do you start? Where do you start? Is it just about passion? Is it just about finding ano ba yung in demand dyan? No, minsan kasi pursuing your passion, wala namang demand, mahirap din, no? So in our, I guess part of that entrepreneurship training and mentorship that we said should be included and will be included in the Negosyo Center and itong mga seminars that Go Negosyo provides would be talking about what is an enterprising mindset, the right mindset that one should have pag nasa negosyo. Talks about perseverance, creativity, knowing your passion, ano yung galing mo, nagawa mo, may experience mo, and focusing on those as the first step. But you have to match it with the second step, which is opportunities. Ano yung nasa paligid?
Correct, yeah.
Ano yung demand? Anong opportunities? Anong trend ngayon? Ano, what consumers what are consumers looking for? So opportunity spotting naman. So you combine both the competency, passion, etc. with the market and opportunities. Having those two sets, the union of those two sets, intersection of those two sets, will lead you naman sa, sige, so alam ko na yung product that I will focus on. So, product development, technology, papasok dyan. That's why yung having an idea is an advantage. May idea ka na-test mo na siguro, ay, in demand din ito. Tapos, so, product development na. What kind of product, packaging,
And then let's go to the
sizes.
important part that Dora mentioned, lack of capital.
And marketing, and then may financial literacy.
So,
that will
when you
have
go
to
to a Go Negosyo Center, this is something they can help you with getting loans.
Yes,
Because
yeah,
we all know it's hard to go to a
yung
bank.
access to
especially if
capital.
you're,
Yeah, nako, banks.
wala ka yung
Banks,
security.
They will not
No,
be,
they
the
will
negosyo
should-
centers won't be the financial institutions themselves, but it is said there that they should link up with the microfinancial institutions nationwide. Kasi for the whole country, there are more than 200 microfinancial institutions. And there
Are these government microfinance?
No. Ano ito? Private. And some NGO, microfinancial institutions, and or cooperatives, no? And there are over 2,000 branches of rural banks, no? Mga rural bank associations.
But how does
Thrift
the Go
banks.
Negosyo Act
Nakalink.
make sure that apart from just linking, that these people who actually need capital will be provided with capital, especially if they don't have assets to secure the loan?
This is what I was saying, no? For the micro entrepreneurs, they have to have a plan first for them to be able to know how much capital would they need, and then how and where can they find it. No? It's access to capital, no? Because there are different microfinance institutions who will give capital even without collateral, but there is group guarantee.
I see.
So micro entrepreneurs need not really a very, very big
This actually
capital.
reminds me of venture capitalists in the US, which is a type of industry where you have people na they find other entrepreneurs, startups, and they
Yes.
invest.
Yes.
So I was just curious because
Yes.
Mon is one of our advocates for the Go Negosyo bill na naging law na recently.
Yes.
Why did you consider looking at venture capitalism as also something that we can start in the Philippines?
It's market driven. There are already existing venture capitalists around. But when you talk of mga micro, ito yung mga those borrowing from 5,000 pesos, very micro.
So kahit talagang
5,000
ganun kaliit,
pesos
yeah.
up to
Karinderya or mga
up to
stalls,
150,000 to 200,000 peso per loan. So what happens, and there are big groups ngayon na sila our friends sila the Dr. Alip, no, Jaime Rossetel for card, no, that started as a microfinancial institution. Ngayon may SME bank na. Kasi papahiramin ka muna 5,000. Kailangan mabayaran mo 'yon. Magiging next cycle mo will be 10,000, 15,000 until kasi if you establish a track record, they will allow you to have a bigger loan. As your business also gets
This is
bigger
without
collateral.
And what are the interest rates? Out of curiosity. Oo.
Iba-iba yan.
Oo nga eh.
It's about
Normally, let's give an
3%.
idea to our
It could be
viewers.
2 to 3% per
Per
month.
month.
Per month.
It's still fairly.
It's still
You'll
hindi siya-
you'll have a business that can cover for that. Kasi,
Yeah.
diba,
It should be able to
importante
cover.
naman in the interest rate kayang
Now, I
bayaran.
have a
ng
question.
business.
We have a lot of informal entrepreneurs. You talk about the stall owners, fishbowl vendors, and what have you, di ba? First of all, my first question is, do they fall under this act? Do they fall under this act? These mga small
Yes,
They're
stall
going to be
Anyone.
micro.
vendors?
Anyone na below 1 million
Now,
pesos.
My second question is, if I was one of these stall owners, and I have to go through this Go Negosyo Act, and I have to study it and go through all the requirements. Right now, masaya ang buhay ko. I just go out and sell my goods, and I basically don't have to worry about any government registration. So my question is, what is the advantage that I'm going to be registered under the Go Negosyo Act? Considering that now my life is simpler, the government doesn't tax me, I go wherever I want to go and sell my goods, di ba? And no headache. But now, it seems to me, at least there might be more headaches for someone who's probably trying to meet a minimum wage, di ba? In terms of income. So what would be the incentive for these small entrepreneurs to register under the Go Negosyo Act?
At first, for us, there should be a change of mindset first.
Yeah.
It has to be an entrepreneurial mindset. And these people are into livelihood.
Yes.
Not really in micro-entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Because they are not yet registered.
Yes.
So there has to be a change in mindset. They have to grow their enterprise.
Right.
And how will you do that? We should mentor them and train them that there should be a plan. Now, that is what we are advocating. You should have a plan. When you talk about growing your enterprise, there should be a market, there should be a target market, increase in production, everything. And it can be done that they change their mindset from livelihood to a
entrepreneurship.
growth-oriented
All right.
entrepreneur.
Okay. Now, we have a couple of questions from our viewers. Gloria asks, I plan on selling clothes and mobile accessories online. What are the essential steps in the business registration process? How will Go Negosyo centers help me do this, and what requirements will I need?
Well, okay. Siguro, I'll go first to the status of the Go Negosyo Act. No? Actually, the IRR is being done right now, and it should be published siguro in 90 days from
90
the
days.
approval. So that should be
Should be
about
August
October
15.
15.
Yeah, August, September,
So,
October.
malapit na rin yan. No? But for the inquiries, yung paano, how do I go about it, they simply have to go to the Negosyo Center and get all these services that will have to be provided. As to the earlier question, which is related to the points you're raising, Attorney Karen, basically they'll go there. Yes, they will register. Because if their business, at the end of the day, if we want businesses to grow, they will come to a point na kailangan, ito yung sinasabi ni Rodora na magre-register din yan at certain point. Because walang business na lalaki if you don't register. If you
Yes.
just be an
You have to be
informal
legal.
sector,
Yeah.
kailangan if down the road magkaroon ka ng plano that you will really surface and be registered. Now, the Negosyo Act also covers for registration in the barangay micro business, which there is an existing law on that. I don't know how
Yes.
many years
BMBE.
na. BMBE, because it's
2002.
one below.
2002, I think.
2002, at konti lang nare-register dyan. Why? Because the registration, the permit is given by the local government units. And for certain reasons, hindi na-encourage yung pag-register. And because it talks about tax exemptions and it probably may revenue implications sa kanila. So, hindi masyadong encouraging yung registration. Now, under this act, ginawa nila senators, BAM and colleagues, and also in the House of Congress, to make the approval, issuance of certificate of authority to be part of the BMBE, to be approved yan by DTI na, Department of Trade and Industry. Because being registered in BMBE for, I think, 2 years, you will be entitled to certain mga tax exemptions. So you don't have to be worried about, excuse me, about mga paying taxes kaagad. No? It talks about certain tax exemption, it talks about exemption sa mga minimum wage, sa mga employees mo. So
So it's
may mga
likely that this online business of selling
Yes.
accessories, maliit pa lang naman
Maliit
siya.
pa yan.
Should be tax exempt. If
Should
she
be tax
registers.
exempt. Yes, they can register. Anyway, it will be tax exempt for the 2 years. And if you go a certain level of sales and income, that's the time siguro you'll have to
But
pay
you can't
for.
register yet now, no? Kasi
No.
wala.
But may I add
no
into it, no?
yeah.
They should be registered under the BMB law. No, they should take the certificate of authority from the DTI.
From the TTI now. At least it is guaranteed, no? And
Yeah.
I think the IRR will tackle how many days para automatic approval. Kasi in the, going back to the Negosyo Act, for regular registration of business, 15 days approval. Automatic approval. Hindi ka na patatagalin ng isang buwan, dalawang buwan. Automatic approval, 15 days. And within 30 days, you will have to submit all the requirements. Otherwise, there is a right also to
revoke
Okay.
to revoke.
So actually, it sounds very easy talaga.
Very
na parang they're making it
facilitated
fast,
and-
yes, for
yes.
individuals to start their business. We'll learn more about that and we'll answer more questions from our viewers. But for now, we'll have to take another short break. Legal Help Desk will return after these messages. You're still tuned in to Legal Help Desk on 9TV with our guests Ramon Lopez and Dora Hizon.
All right. Let's talk about, I guess, yung compulsion or parang is it an obligation on the part of these informal business people under the Go Negosyo Act? Is it required that they register, or it's still an option for them?
Still, to me, I think it's still an option because
Yes.
they need that service there.
Yeah.
But if they look for certain support or services, they want to attain to attend the trainings and seminars and
In other words,
the mentorship,
it's more
then
of
they
a
will
ben-
have.
it's more of a benefit.
Oo, it's more of a benefit kasi the Negosyo Act really talks about support services to empower the micro SME sector. It's really parang a help desk like what you're doing, no? So talagang pupuntahan sila para humingi ng tulong, mentorship, seminars, and linkage to market.
There's no aspect of the law that's mandatory.
Wala naman.
Okay.
It's
Wala naman.
voluntary.
So
Okay.
And then Attorney Karen was mentioning earlier in relation to the Magna Carta for SME na parang it's no one is really mandated to everyone to register kasi they can just continue with their informal
Yeah.
activities or in being part of the informal sector. Ibig sabihin they're not registered. But down the road, what if you want to borrow from a bank? You will have to be registered. You have to have this financial reports that are needed in any business para maka-approach ka sa mga microfinance institutions and then sa mga bangko. So, kailangan mo rin talaga eventually to surface and to register.
Of course, not to mention that you have the BIR that's
And that's true.
required. Now we'll have other questions from our viewers that we need to answer. From Penny, how and where can I find Go Negosyo Centers? Can they help me with the capital investment needed for my new business?
Yes. For now, as mentioned, the IRR is being finalized. It should be out this October. And the designated areas, our thinking in the private sector, offhand, this will be also the DTI centers, at least at the provincial, regional levels, because there are already the hubs of business registration and all that in those at those levels, regional level, regional DTI centers, and also the provincial levels. Now, municipal, I doubt if there's a DTI at the municipal level. Normally, naka-attach ito under the LGUs or local government units. So Office of the Mayor, there would be mga public enterprise or private enterprise assistance office, things like those that are part of the LGU organizations.
Alright.
So yun ang mga lalapitan muna nila until a negosyo center is identified in their area. For now, what I've been hearing from Senator Bam Aquino is there would be, I think, about 6 initial negosyo centers that will be put up in Manila, in
NCR.
Cebu,
NCR.
Iloilo, certain parts of, I think,
So it will be in the
6
provinces.
muna. Oo, 6 muna. And then, lalaki pa yan.
All right.
The-
All right. We have a... Oh, yes, ma'am.
This Go Negosyo Act also speaks of the unified and simplified business registration.
All right.
Diba?
You wanna,
Next,
you wanna
Oh,
expound
it
on
was
that?
not ano eh, no?
Want to expound on that a bit?
Well, we need the IRR.
Oh, okay, all right.
How do
Sige.
we say that it's a unified and simplified? Because one of the things that the micro entrepreneurs are experiencing is the difficulty in registering their businesses. No? Although there are one-stop shops in the LGUs,
Yeah.
no,
But it's
they
not.
still find it difficult and costly.
All right. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Now, Brian is asking, aside from Go Negosyo Centers, where else can people go for help in setting up their businesses? So pending, I guess, the Go
Lalo
Negosyo
na
Centers.
ngayon,
Yeah.
because they're not yet
Yes.
operational or
Yeah.
set up.
Where did
If
they
you
go?
want
Where
to
did
start tomorrow.
The DTI has the small business assistance centers. Go Negosyo also would have a website. By the way, when it comes to services and assistance, and what we are trying to include also in the IRR, yung mga online assistance, with the technology now, you need not go to a physical place. You can simply ask your questions, and your questions should be answered by the experts, by the government, as well as yung mga entrepreneurs who are helping the fellow small entrepreneurs on how to go about certain business. Registering a business is the least of a concern in any negosyo. That's the easiest. Kahit tumagal pa yan ng 30 days or 3 months, that's the least of the concern. The major concern is, how do you really grow your business?
Yeah.
How do you make it sustainable? How do you increase your sales?
Yeah.
Grow your market, no? So that's the biggest question. So
Yeah.
that
So the
everyone-
And I
registration
really
should
like
be-
what Dora said earlier. You have to distinguish between those that just approach it as a means of livelihood and those that
Right.
are really approaching
Yeah.
it as an enterprise, because
Oo.
that means you have to have a plan to grow. We have another question from Cecil. Does the Go Negosyo Act enable loan windows from traditional lenders like banks for the benefit of entrepreneurs who are just venturing into their first business?
There would be linkages to existing microfinance lenders, or as mentioned, institutions, rural
And these
banks.
are all registered, kasi obviously there are
Oo,
some
they are.
predatory lenders there. No?
Excluding the predatory lenders, siguro yung mga mataas ang interest, 5-6, no? Pero yung mga legitimate, there are those lists already that one can link up to. Yung financial part, financing is available. What is lacking though would be good projects, good business proposals that should be funded. If you have a good idea, good business proposal that's why you need the plan to show that there is a cash flow, there is an income month on month, year on year.
Yeah.
Para funders will come. It
Yeah.
could, and in fact, the funders need not be limited to the microfinance or the thrift banks. It could be your family or friends who would believe in the business. If you show those numbers, baka hindi ka na kailangan lumapit sa
O baka sila
mga
pa lumapit
institution.
sa'yo.
Sila pa magpondo sa'yo, sila
Yeah.
pa lalapit.
Yeah.
So, importante talaga. It's an
plan.
idea-based negosyo na something interesting, and that's where you need the training and how do you structure your business model? Is it a unique product proposition? Even selling online, it's easy to put up a website or put it in Facebook. You sell a product, madali lang yan. But is it a unique sellable product?
Sustainable ba?
Will people buy it? So
Yeah.
that's the question you have to answer.
All right, from Judd naman, we have this question. How can the Go Negosyo Act help a newbie businessman like me? What if my business doesn't become successful? How will it protect me, or at least help me regain my losses?
Wow, that's a guarantee. Walang ganyan.
If someone knew that answer, I guess I'd be a billionaire.
And kanina, Dora, when you mentioned, of course, finding a plan or the skills, which is capacity, which is usually what they need more than the money.
And then find out their entrepreneurial competency as well.
Okay. So, kung ang kulang sa kanila would be financial management skills, how do they get that?
They
Does
should
going to
have
a Go Negosyo Center help them get just the financing tips, or do they get to have advice on how to find the right financial manager for their
Because the
business?
Go Negosyo Centers, I think, will also have partners. Partners who can provide the trainings. For startup, I think the Go Negosyo Act is stipulating that there is a fund for startups, which should be provided by the BMBE fund, which I think is about 300 million, which was sourced out from PAGCOR, and from the development plan for the MSMEs. No, there is a fund there.
There is a fund.
So the startup capital can be
And
channeled.
they can go to the barangay. I mean, where can they go? I mean, specifically, I'm starting a business tomorrow. Where can I go to have access to that 300 million peso fund?
No, it's the funding for the
funding for-
implementation.
For the implementation,
of the law.
but it's not for...
For the startup funds.
All right,
Yeah,
okay.
No?
Okay.
But I think it will be in the IRR.
Sa
Oh, in the
startup
IRR.
funds meant to really help also the micro entrepreneurs. But that will, I think kinikwento ni Rodora na that will be part of the IRR to stipulate how
How
can
will
one
it be?
avail of the fund if you're a startup business. And in many startup assistance, there's always a training required before you can avail
Yeah.
of the finance. And to help ensure,
Yeah.
not
Na
a guarantee,
kaya bayaran.
hindi
Yes.
i-guarantee kung hindi, na kaya
Yeah.
mabayaran yung negosyo. You'll have to be trained.
Okay, we have another question from Philip. What should a person consider before investing fully into a micro or small business? What are the opportunities available in the market to ensure a successful venture? Ganyan talaga yung mga questions, no? Lahat ng tao gustong manigurado.
Yeah,
It's really scary, I guess, to fail in a business, especially if
it's
it's
a
your
plunge, eh.
first
It's a-
time, no?
It's a plunge,
Oo.
and actually yung question siya would be somehow the answers also. Finding out, you really have to find out what those opportunities are. You can do market test of a product before you launch it. You test it with your friends, or the target market. If your target market of that product would be, is, let's say, the kids, you test it with the kids. You don't test it with the parents, no? So, or sometimes the parents, if they, kasi pester power, ang kids daw, parents will be forced to buy or will buy. So, you present to both, no? So, basta you just identify in any business, knowing the opportunities and identifying sino yung target market mo talaga. What particular part of the market, is it the young, the old, the rich, the mass base, and so many questions to answer, and it's really up to us to find out. Kaya nga hindi ganun kadali. It's not easy, but finding a new business idea for a particular target market.
Now, do you help them also, apart from the financial, no? Financial is usually the first question, parang where do I get capital and all that. But one of the key things also is getting the right partners. For example, I'm starting off, let's say, a stall, a food stall, and I need to get raw materials, let's say flour, or let's say if my business is into shrimp, where will I get the shrimp or the prawns, or or do you match people like that? I mean,
Those are the information, Attorney Rod, that should be present in the negosyo
Negosyo
centers.
centers.
And that's the idea there,
I
yung
see,
having this information, database, raw material sources, as well as possible market to sell to.
So is
And-
that the purpose of the Philippine Registry, Business Registry database that is also included in the Go Negosyo Act?
Yes, that is also one purpose of that, is to have a database of suppliers as well as possible market. What would they be needing? Let's say your product can be a raw material to the other companies, no? Not directly to the consumers. Kasi remember, yung produkto can be an intermediate product. Ibig
Yeah, it
sabihin,
doesn't have to be retail.
gagamitin pa sa isang kumpanya na as their raw material.
Okay, I have a last question. So kanina I was asking Dora, if you have a business idea, is that enough to go to a Go Negosyo Center? What if you are also afraid that this idea might be stolen? Meaning, other people find out about it at unahan ka. So, what protections do you have under the Go Negosyo Act to make sure that no one steals your business idea?
kasi you'll share it. You'll share it to, I guess, to the Go Negosyo Center.
yes.
So you're afraid baka
That's the purpose of, if you
Yeah.
if you ask me, ako muna din, yung that's the purpose of getting it registered, and if they will advise you if it's really a unique idea, you'll have to register that unique idea and unique product, and also your brand. Remember, the power of branding is so huge. That will be the value of your business moving forward. So you'll have to register also your brand. Para if you become successful, hindi agawin sa'yo at gamitin ng iba yung brand mo. And yun yung benefit ng
Any,
registration.
Dora, any
With the
tips
brand, yeah.
for those who want to try out and want to protect their idea? Apart from registration.
Registering. That's also. That means they have to register with the IPO, intellectual property. No, there are certain rights, branding, but more so for the micro, as I would say. No, it will be hard for them to do that because when starting, they're really starting very, very small. No, and they really have to have training and then product development, assistance on that part. I think that the Go Negosyo Centers can help on that. on that endeavor.
This training ba, ma'am, will they, will the,
It should
yun
be
nga,
an intrinsic part.
Yeah,
No,
but I
of the
understand.
services.
But for a lot of these mga informal entrepreneurs, they're not that sophisticated. No? Is it that kind of training is something that they can understand and
I don't
guess
think
spoken in
they
their-
can understand that.
Yeah.
No,
They can.
what we can offer is that change. No, as I was saying, change the mindset first. No, from livelihood to growth oriented, and then teach them that they should have a target market before producing any
Producing anything.
product.
All right.
Yeah, Rod, siguro just a final note on that. In our case naman, Go Negosyo and even these negosyo centers, I believe, will develop as a training that is laymanized para maintindihan ng market that it will serve.
Okay.
So marami tayong materials na maiintindihan. Simpleng konsepto lang.
Thank you. Very helpful
Can
episode.
I just inject something?
Yes,
There will be a summit for the micro and small entrepreneurs, but that would be on November. It is being hosted by the Entrep Micro and Small Entrepreneurs Organization of the Philippines. No? And I think Senator Bam will be one of our guests to explain also the Go Negosyo Act
Excellent,
and
yeah.
the effect
Okay.
on the
Where's the
micro
venue and what's the
entrepreneurs.
specific date?
It is OC, Occupational Safety
North
Office
Avenue.
in North Avenue.
Okay.
Oo.
Avenue.
Sige.
And
Anong date ulit? Anong date?
November 26. And I'll be working closely with the Go Negosyo.
With Mon.
Okay,
Alright.
thank you for that announcement. This was a
Yeah.
very helpful episode.
Pleasure.
And I really wish success for this law. Maybe when
Yeah.
the IRR or implementing rules comes
You can have
out,
us again.
We'll
magkaroon-
have you
Para
again.
ma-explain na natin
All
fully
the
in
details.
detail paano
All the
ba
details.
mag-apply and ano yung
And we
requirements.
invite the DTI. Yes.
So thank
Yes.
you.
Oh, the details.
Thank you so
Because we want to be
much.
entrepreneurs as well.
We already have one here. So, thank you to our guests, Mr. Ramon Lopez and Ms. Dora from Entrep. That was very
It's a pleasure.
helpful. Legal Help Desk will be back, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Legal Help Desk on 9 TV. And today we had a very interesting
Yeah.
episode, especially
Yeah.
for those who want to be entrepreneurs or business people.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one was particularly special because well, I think all of us, even if we're lawyers, we try to get to a bit.
And I
business
really
as well,
like what we
yeah.
learned from Miss Dora Hizon
Yeah.
of Entrep today, that
Yeah.
sometimes we have to have a change in mindset, that sometimes when we start selling things or we have a business, we're just thinking of it as a means of livelihood. Na we don't think about
Yeah.
it from a strategic standpoint that we have to grow it someday. So that's the benefit of the Go Negosyo Act, because from micro businesses, meaning yung below 1 million pesos, up to small businesses, meaning 3 million to 15, right?
Yes,
And then
yes.
you have the medium enterprises. You will get the skills that you need and also the training, the advice from what you call the Go Negosyo centers that will be set up all around the country to assist people in starting their own micro, small, or medium enterprises.
Yeah, I think the key here is the setting up the Go Negosyo centers, which will be, I think it's going to be connected with the Department of Trade, and it will be, the DTI will be working with various LGUs in setting up Go Negosyo offices. They're still not around because the implementing rules are not yet there, but the implementing rules are expected to be out after 90 days after the law was implemented. It was implemented July 15th, so October 15th, we should have the implementing rules and regulations already. And so, as mentioned by Attorney Karen, these Go Negosyo centers are there to match you, to help you find microfinancing support, and also to help match your business with suppliers as well as potential customers. No? So,
But I'd also like to mention, Rod, that we currently have another law, yung Magna Carta for small to medium enterprises, and that law has not been repealed or superseded by the Go Negosyo Act. Basically, Go Negosyo Act provides all the support and the skill support in helping those that want to go into micro, small, and medium enterprises, helping them succeed in this venture. But for the Magna Carta for small to medium enterprises, you still have to familiarize yourself with this law because it provides for penal provisions. For instance, if you have fraudulent misrepresentations, meaning kung nag-a-apply ka sa small to medium enterprise, yung pala marami kang false declarations in order to qualify, then you can be subject to penal provisions. Or pagka naman, if you're a bank, tapos you don't devote the certain percentage required to loan to these small to medium enterprises, pwede rin kayo ma-penalize. So, they go hand in hand. But I guess what this highlights basically is the focus of our country to also encourage what kanina was mentioned by our guest, that there is inclusive growth. To make sure that not only big businesses, but even micro, small, and medium businesses are supported and encouraged to grow.
Sometimes when we think when a law is passed, it's there to complicate our lives. No, Go Negosyo Act is supposed to facilitate things, and it is something that it's not mandatory. You can opt not to be registered under the Go Negosyo Act, but at the end of the day, if you want more protection for your ideas, for example, and access to various microfinancing options and protection, it's always best to register yourself. So watch out for that law and the implementing rules and regulations. We here at Legal Help Desk will certainly update you once the implementing rules and regulations are up. All right? Now, over the week, we have received some questions from our viewers on topics that we have previously discussed. Our first recap question is from Gianna. I am a single mother and my daughter is 4 years old. She is acknowledged by her biological father and is carrying his name. Is there a way so she can use my surname instead?
Okay, I'm curious what Jana's reason is for suddenly deciding to change. But since their daughter is an illegitimate child, kasi acknowledged lang, so I think they're not married based on the question, then Jana, you would have to file for a correction of your child's name. And this is a special proceeding under the rules of court. Hindi siya yung mere change kasi meron tayong law naman na mabilis lang sana yung process of changing a name if it's a clerical error. But in this case, you obviously have a birth certificate na iba yung surname ng anak mo. So you would really have to go through this special proceeding which you file in court in order to change the name of your child to your maiden surname or your surname basically because you were never married, but that's possible.
So we have to qualify it also, Jana, our answer in the sense that when you're saying that she's carrying her dad's or her biological father's name, is she using it in school? She's only 4 years old, so I guess not, no. But I guess what we're saying here is that depends on what's written in the birth certificate. No? Kung birth certificate nakalagay yung family name of the father, the biological father, then as Attorney Karen said, you can't just change that. It's not a simple clerical change. No, you have to go through a special proceeding. All right.
Our next question is from Ed. I have a tenant that is 7 months delinquent. There is a provision in our lease agreement where the landlord can padlock the property in case of delinquency. I learned through your program that padlocking the property is illegal. Given this, is it still possible for me to follow the contract we made? Okay, I guess this is one of the complicated things about contracts because you think, pag kontrata, nakasulat yan, it's very clear you have to follow it. But there's also a provision in our civil code or yung laws of contract wherein whatever provision you agree on, generally, the contract is the law between the parties. But then, they cannot be legal provisions, meaning for those that are not in accordance with law, those provisions in your contract cannot be followed. So in this case, we have a law that prohibits padlocking. So if you have a tenant that is already illegally staying, one, you can file for a criminal case ng unlawful detainer kasi your tenant does not have the right to keep staying in that property. But you have to notify them first, try to make them vacate the property. Pag ayaw nila, this is where the police comes in. You can complain to them. But pag matigas talaga ulo, then a criminal case for unlawful detainer. But one of the main principles kasi in our law is that you cannot take the law into your own hands. So you cannot just suddenly padlock the property. But of course, isa mong right as a lessor would be you have a lien or yung tinatawag nating right over the properties, movable properties that are located in the rented property for the payment of the rent, yung mga overdue rental payments.
All right. Okay, so that's all the time that we have. Well said, Attorney Karen. That's all the time that we have. We'd like to thank our viewers for sending in their questions via our social media pages. I'm Attorney Rodney Pomaceno.
And I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno. If you have any questions on our topic for tonight, post these on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Join us again next Monday as we discuss your legal rights. Good night.